What's up, YouTube? Alright, before we get into this video, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel by pushing the subscribe button down below. Then push the bell-shaped little button, it's the bell icon. Hit the thumbs up. Comment down below for any ideas you have for future videos that you'd like to see me make, any topics you'd like me to discuss. So this video, you probably already know from the thumbnail, is about never giving your power willingly over to a woman. You as a man should never willingly give your power over to a woman. And in all honesty, if you don't give it over willingly, it can't be gotten. Once you give it over willingly, then you don't have to willfully consent to keep doing so, because then you've involved the government, and there's several ways to do that. And once you involve the government, you will not be getting your power back from a beautiful woman, from any woman, period. So never involve the government in your relationship with a woman. Never, ever give your power over to a woman, ever. Because if you live in America and you're watching this video, especially in this country, you do not want to be giving any power to a woman that you have any willful choice over holding on to, because you inherently have less power than her in a lot of ways in the legal realm in this country. And in the past, it's been reversed in an equally probably incorrect way in many areas of the law in the past. But right now, what's happened is the common mistake that people often make in any area of life is when there's an extreme that causes a problem, people often shift to the opposite extreme that causes an equal or greater problem. Like if you've ever seen someone who got beaten as a child, for instance, like actually abused, they will a lot of times grow up and refuse to discipline their children at all. And there's nothing wrong with disciplining your children. You should discipline your children. But a lot of people that were abused as a child, which they now confuse with the same thing as discipline, will not spank or discipline their child physically at all. And this causes the opposite extreme of the problem of an abused child. Hold on a second, I'm getting a text here. Let me turn that phone on airplane. So, a lot of times, people will do the opposite extreme of the original problem, creating a whole new problem. And like in the analogy of an abused child who was disciplined inappropriately, grows up and becomes a parent that doesn't abuse their child, but also doesn't discipline their child in order to avoid abusing their child. So now they've got a child who has no discipline, who has no rules that they will follow because there's no enforcement of the rules, and no one follows rules that aren't enforced. And then that child ends up growing up and going to prison for something crazy because they never learned how to live within the rules of a properly governed structure. So in the same way, in the past, in world history, in different cultures and different governments, and probably even in our own government in a lot of ways, there was some laws that were inappropriate and biased in an incorrect way towards women. I won't say that all laws that are biased against women are inappropriate, because I believe that God's laws are the only proper laws, and there are lots of God's laws that are biased against women in one area, and that's appropriate. And then there are lots of God's laws that are biased against men in some ways, and that's appropriate. I don't live in the worldview where everything has to be fair and equal. Adults don't have to be equal in their treatment as children. If you're an adult, you should and will be treated differently than children in some good ways and in some bad ways that are all appropriate. And if you're a man versus a woman, there are just inherently going to be some things that are not fair that are appropriate. Like, it's not fair that a woman has to carry the child in their womb and go through that pain and that suffering of giving birth and labor. That's not fair to them that they should have to deal with that, but it doesn't matter. That's the way it is. And also, it's not fair to a man that until 100 years ago and the invention of DNA tests and paternity test and things like that, they never really truly knew if they were the father of a child, and they had to take a woman's word for it, and had to, live an entire lifetime not really knowing if they were the parent of a child. That's not fair. A lot of things aren't fair between men and women that just were not meant to be fair, because that's the way God designed them to be. And so it's not fair in our eyes that a man be an authority in the relationship between a man and a woman. And in a lot of women's eyes and a lot of feminist men's eyes, that's not fair, that the Bible says to do that, and that nature shows that in most scenarios between men and women. But it's also not fair that a man bears the responsibility of all of the mistakes that his children and his wife or woman make. He has to deal with that. It's not fair that if my kid goes out, in the middle of the night and steals something, that I'm not even allowed to be around my kid half most of the month because of these crooked family laws, the child custody things, that I'm going to have to pay for the damages that he did. That's just the way it is, because I'm his parent, and that's going to happen. It's the same way in the Bible with your wife or with your woman. You are responsible for the trouble she caused and for fixing it. So there was give and take. There was authority given to a man. There was also consequences to his authority. That's just the way it is. So the Bible says over and over, never give your power to a woman. Women are not to have authority over men. It says in both testaments, women are not to exercise any sort of authority over a man in any area of life, whether that be government, whether that be the church, whether that be the family. It's very, very clear that men rule over men, and men rule over their women, and no women rule over any adult men. The only closest thing that a woman in the Bible is allowed to rule over as a male is a boy, is the child, and she's even doing that on behalf of the father, meaning she's only enforcing the boy's father's rules on the boy while the father is out. But yeah, it says over and over in the Bible, never give your power to women. So in this country, giving your power to women, it can happen in lots of ways that don't even involve the government, but those ways you can fix once you figure them out. Like if you have been a pushover in your relationship with your girlfriend or your wife, you can stop being a pushover and start being stern and assertive. You can do that. You don't need permission from anybody to do that. You don't need a special kind of lawyer or hundreds of thousands of dollars to go through the court system for permission to do that. That's just your prerogative. Now, if the woman doesn't like it, she'll probably leave you. If she does like it, she'll stay with you. So what? But nobody will stop you. But when you delve into the realm of the legal system, giving your power over to a woman, well, now you've got a problem, because now you can't fix it once you've done it very easily at all. So some of the ways you can give your power, and I mean all your power, over to women in the legal system in the United States, the way the laws are written today currently, until or unless they're corrected, is by getting a marriage license. And I'm not saying not to get married, because a lot of people confuse what I was saying when I say this. Marriage predates the United States government by thousands of years. Marriage has existed for 6,000 years of recorded human history. If every one of these fingers is 1,000 years, marriage has existed for 6 of them. America is only a few hundred years old tops. That's not even one of these fingers. That's not even this half of this thumb, okay? So you mean to tell me that for the other 5,600 years of human history, that everybody that claimed to be married before the United States government existed were not legitimately married? That's bullcrap. It's nonsense. Marriage is not a function of the state. Marriage is not a function of the government. Marriage is a function of God's law. God's law is what invented marriage. God's law is what initiates marriage, and God is the only thing that can end a marriage through death, or through the one legitimate exemption for divorce that he gives in the Bible, that only a husband can initiate, not a wife. So a wife can't even file divorce in the Bible. A husband can, and only for one reason, and only one reason. Other than that, there's no such thing as divorce in the Bible. There's just death parts you. So, point being, a lot of Christians will tell you, because their pastors have brainwashed them to believe their cultural traditions and not the actual Bible and what it says. A lot of Christians, a lot of pastors will tell you that if you're a Christian, you have to get a marriage license because that's what they say that the Bible says. There is not one, listen to me very carefully. There is not one single verse in the entirety of all 66 books. A lot of people think the Bible is one book. It's not. It's 66 books under one cover. There is not one verse in all 66 books of the Bible, from Genesis, the first book, to Revelation, the last book. There is not one single solitary verse anywhere in there that says the words, or anything that even means the words, you must get the government's permission slip to be biblically married, or it's a sin to have sex. It does not say that anywhere in the Bible. You are supposed to be married in order to have sex in the Bible, but you do not need anyone's permission in the Bible except for the woman's father. That is it. You do not need the government's permission to enter into a relationship with a woman or to exit a relationship with a woman in the Bible. Period. You do not. You need her father's permission if he's alive. You need the next male authority figure over her if her father's dead, his brother, his son, just depends on the scenario. And if there are no man authority figures in a woman's life, then you can just marry her. You don't need anybody's permission. Women in the Bible were always under a man's authority. They stayed in their father's household until their father agreed to let a man marry her, and then they moved into their husband's household. That's it. There was no single mothers. There were no single non-mothers. There were no women just living however they want, doing whatever they want, hoeing with whoever they want. There was none of that. There was a father that was seeing to it that his daughter did not have sex until he allowed her to marry a man. Then he kept her a virgin until her and that man came together and had sex. That was marriage in the Bible. That was all you needed to marry in the Bible. And that's all you need to marry now. And anything other than that is just cultural tradition and nonsense, and can even become evil in cases like in America, where it delves into areas where the government being involved now causes sinful things against God's law to happen in a relationship. Like when you give children to their mother, when the relationship splits because the mother does anything against what God commands her to do. That's actually causing you to be in a situation of sinful stuff going on according to God's law by even having a government marriage contract. So if you've already got a government marriage contract, and most people have done that, I've done that, you can't do anything really. There's not a lot you can do about the situation you're in now. But if you've not gotten a government marriage contract for religious reasons and for just plain wisdom reasons, you should never, ever, for any reason, get a government marriage contract. Never. I don't care who tells you you should. I don't care who shames you for not doing it. I don't care if your mother, your father, the pastor of your church, the president of the United States personally all have an intervention in your living room and tell you that you're a bad person if you don't marry a woman through the state contract. I'm not saying don't say vows with her. I'm not saying don't get her father's permission. I'm not saying don't do all of that. I'm saying you don't need a judge or a pastor's permission to marry her, unless the pastor happens to be her father. Don't need a judge's permission. Don't need a pastor's permission. Don't need any of that. And you don't need a ring. You don't need the whole ceremony. You can do the ring. You can do the ceremony if you want to, but you do not and should not do the state contract, and you don't need to do it by any biblical mandate. There's no law in the United States that forces you to do it. There's no law in the Bible that forces you to do it. You don't have to do it, and you shouldn't do it. Because in all truthfulness, most men do not know it until it is too late. But if you're thinking about getting married through a state contract and you have a penis, go down to the divorce court in your city and sit in there for an entire day and watch what happens with almost every single one of those cases. The man loses half or more than half of his physical property, He gets put on child support and loses his children, has to pay for them, but never almost ever gets to see them, has no say in their life anymore. And a lot of times he gets put on alimony, which is adult child support. Child support at least ends when your children turn 18. Alimony never ends unless your wife remarries. And if you have a lot of alimony on you awarded to your wife, she's never going to remarry through the state. She's going to do exactly what I'm telling you to do and live as if married and call herself married but not get a contract, because she knows the second she gets a marriage contract when she's on alimony with you, you don't have to pay alimony anymore legally. So she's going to live in your house with her boyfriend as her new husband, as her new husband, and they're going to be living off your money, laughing at you. There's absolutely nothing in it for you as a man to sign that marriage contract other than shutting up the woman that tells you that you must not trust her or love her or whatever bullcrap she wants to blow smoke up your pants with, and shutting up your pastor or your mother or your father or your friends or your culture or whatever, your female friends that tell you you're a bad man if you don't sign that contract for your fiance. Don't do it. Nothing in it for you. Zero. Anybody that gives you something that's an in it for you thing to sign that contract is so full of crap, because there's nothing in it that you can't get without a marriage contract. They say, well, your wife won't have your last name if you don't do it. First of all, a name is just a made up concept. You can call your wife whatever last name you want to call her, period, and nobody can stop you. You don't need a marriage contract for that. Secondly, if you want to legally change her name, anybody can legally change their name to anything they want. I can go legally to a courthouse right now, pay them a couple $100s, and change my last name to Godzilla if I want to. And they'll do it, and they won't care. And it'll be on my driver's license, and I can sign contracts with the name Godzilla as my last name. So if you want your wife to have your last name without signing a marriage contract, you can perfectly well legally do that. You can get it done in 10 minutes on the internet. And then go down to the DMV, change her driver's license to say your name. You can do all of that. You can do every bit of that without a marriage license. They'll say, well, there's tax benefits to it. Now, you can go start an LLC right now and then get better tax benefits for a home-based business than you'll ever get for being a husband and a wife through the state. There's nothing, not one thing in it for you that you can't go accomplish without a marriage license. And when you sign a marriage license as a man, all you're really doing is signing a contract, signing over willfully all of your human rights, all of your parental rights, all of your property rights, all of your financial rights, monetary rights, human rights, civil rights. You're signing over all your rights to that woman, and she's signing over nothing. She can literally sign a marriage contract, cheat on you, have sex with another man, get pregnant by him, have that man's baby, then divorce you and put you on child support for his baby in most states in the United States. And you will have to pay child support on his baby. You'll have to give her half of your money to reward her for cheating on you. And you'll have to pay her alimony. That's what marriage does in this government. This system is so crooked because it shifted from so biased in the male direction that they tried to overcorrect it, and now it's so biased in the feminist direction. It's not even. You can't even see straight once it's happened to you. You literally, your wife can cheat on you, get pregnant by another man, and put you on child support for it because you have a marriage contract with her. And the law says that in most states in America, if you have a marriage contract with a woman and she divorces you, that baby is your child support, even if you get a DNA test proving it's not yours biologically because she cheated on you. And she'll get alimony, even though she cheated on you. Most states are no-fault divorce states. Never sign a marriage contract, ever. Everything that's good for you in that contract can be accomplished without it. And nothing good for you will be accomplished once your wife decides to file divorce on your butt. So don't do it. That's one way not to give a woman power, is never, ever, ever let anybody shame you into signing a marriage contract. Because your pastor, your mom, your dad, your friends, they're going to be nowhere to be found when the child support and alimony checks need to be written every month. I guarantee you, your pastor is not going to say, well, your wife did you wrong and you only married her through the government because I shamed you, so we're going to give you church offering every month to pay your child support. Your pastor's not going to do that. Your friends are not going to pay your alimony for you. They're not. Nobody's going to pay your alimony and child support for you, bro. So don't let anybody shame you into signing a contract that's going to get you onto that. It's an absurd contract to sign. Go sit in a divorce court and go talk to a divorce lawyer and ask them all of the cons behind signing that license before you ever do it, and never sign it. If a woman tells you, if you've explained to a woman your legitimate reasons why you don't want to sign that license and say, listen, I don't ever plan to leave you, but I can keep my word. I can control me keeping my word. I can't control you keeping yours. And if I sign that contract, you can take me for everything I got, and I'm never going to do that. And it doesn't have anything to do with trusting you. It's the government I don't trust. I don't want to be married to you and to the government. I just want to be married to you. And my religion and my morals and my conscience don't require me to sign that contract. And if she tries to hit you with some, well, you don't really love me if you don't sign this, and I don't want to be with you if you don't sign this, after you explain that to her logically, then guess what? If she says that you don't love her if you don't sign a contract that simply states that she can take you for everything you got if she ever has a mood swing, then guess what her plans for you are, my friend? Yeah. You might want to break it off with her, whether she's willing to marry you or not, without a marriage contract, if she makes a big deal of it after you explain it to her, because she's got some nefarious plans for you behind. Never get a marriage contract. That's one way to never give power to a woman over your life. Never cohabitate. That one might sound weird to you because I just told you that I believe that you can be married, just don't get it through the government. And then your cultural indoctrination tells you that you must be living together to be married. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with a married couple living together. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not required biblically or logically in order for you to be married. And in this country, for guys smart enough like me now and like you will be now to never sign that contract, they found a workaround of that called common law marriage in a lot of states. And what that means is that if you have your wife, or even if you call her your girlfriend or whatever, living with you over a certain amount of time, depending on from state to state what that amount of time is, the government, when she breaks up with you, she can go to court and file common law marriage, and the government can say, oh yeah, she lived with you over this amount of weeks or this amount of months, and she's got bills coming to this same apartment in her name, so we're gonna treat her like this is a marriage divorce. We're gonna put you on alimony, we're gonna put you on child support, we're gonna give her half of your life savings, all because you cohabitated with her, even if you didn't have a marriage license with her. So never cohabitate with a woman. You let her keep her. She can live next door to you for all the hell I care. You can get her a place right next door to you. Don't cohabitate with her. Don't let her live in your place, and don't let there be a legal record of you paying her bills. You can pay her bills at that second place if you want to, or you can have her pay them like she's always been paying her bills. Whatever you want, but don't be paying them with a credit card. Don't be paying them with a bank card. Don't be paying them with anything other than untraceable cash or Bitcoin or something like that, because again, she can go to the government and say, look, he's gotten me accustomed to this style of life and now we're breaking up, and they can say common law marriage and force you to keep paying for that woman for the rest of her life like she's an overgrown baby. Don't do it. A lot of you will think, well, I can get a prenup and then I can marry her through the government and then none of this is a problem. Nope. The government can throw out a prenup anytime they want to. A judge can look at your prenup that is bulletproof looking as hell, that you paid $20,000 for that piece of paper, and it covers all your bases and says you're protected. And that judge can say, I feel like she signed this under duress because she was afraid to lose you. You implied to her that you'd break up with her or not marry her or not live with her or whatever if she didn't sign this. So she signed it under duress while she wasn't thinking clearly because she had her love hormones going on. And he can throw that prenup out. Never marry a woman, not even with a prenup, through the state contract. Don't do it. Marry her privately. Don't let any pastor tell you no Romans 13 bullcrap. That's not what Romans 13 says. It's not what Romans 13 means. Tell your pastor to take a hermeneutics course. That's not what Romans 13 says or means. It has nothing to do with marriage. And it has nothing to do with do whatever the government says blindly and burn Jews if the government says to in Nazi Germany, or enslave black people if the government says to in 1800s America, or sign a marriage license that says that gay people can get married and that wives can divorce rape their husbands in 2020 America. It's not what Romans 13 says or means. Tell them to miss you with that. Tell them that they're not going to pay your child support and alimony, then they shut the hell up. That's what you need to tell your pastor about that. Okay? And anybody else that tries to give you that bullcrap, because they are not going to be standing there on trial in divorce court having lies said about them. You are. They're not going to be paying your child support or your alimony, or settling up 50% of what you own monetarily with your wife. You are. So don't listen to them. Don't get a marriage contract, not even with a prenup. Do not cohabitate with women in 2020. And if you don't get a marriage contract and you don't cohabitate, you have knocked away on that tripod of woman power over you in America. You've just knocked away 2 of those legs, but there's one left that she can balance on right there. And that is impregnating her. That one is hardest for most guys to swallow, especially guys like me, because I want to have tons of kids, and I plan on having tons of kids still, just in a different way now, until these laws are changed and corrected by women that get sick of people like me not being willing to marry them anymore because they let the laws get crooked like that. Until they get changed, no, not getting a marriage license, not cohabitating, and not getting a woman pregnant ever again. Because even if you don't get a marriage license with her, even if you don't cohabitate with her, but you have a private relationship with her that you consider marriage, she considers marriage, her father considers marriage, God considers marriage, and the government just doesn't recognize it, so you're protected, you get her pregnant, she's got a residual piggy bank per child for the next 18 years on your behind that she can hold over you anytime you don't do exactly what she says. She can say, you know what, I'm thinking about leaving you for a guy that, you know, that's more submissive to me, and I'm gonna just go ahead and throw you on child support. That's exactly what she'll do. And she won't think twice about it, and you won't have any legal recourse to it whatsoever, and you will have to pay it. If you don't have a marriage license with her, then you won't have to. Well, actually, yeah, even I was about to say, if you don't have a marriage license with her, you don't have to pay it if she cheated on you and got some other guy to get her pregnant while she's dating you. She can't put you on child support if there's no marriage license, but she can. She can. A woman can literally walk into the child support office and put you on child support. All she has to do is tell them that she's pregnant, tell them that she just had a baby, put your name on the birth certificate, and you're on child support. She doesn't need your permission to put your name on the birth certificate, and you'll have to spend so much money fighting her to get your name off that birth certificate to prove that that baby's not yours in court that you might as well just pay the doggone child support. So I would not recommend to you that you get a woman pregnant in 2020, no matter how much you want to be a father. It's not safe. I'm not saying you can't be a father. I'm saying don't get a woman pregnant. There are a couple of ways to be a father without getting a woman pregnant. If you don't care about biological relation, adoption is a wonderful way to do that. It's a wonderful thing to do because it's helping children who are already born and that were born in a bad situation that you can help them with. You can be a foster parent or an actual adopted parent. Adoption is a lot more expensive, but you know what? So is being a parent in general. So if you can't afford to adopt, you probably shouldn't be considering parenting anyway, because most parents become parents by accident, and so they just have to deal with the financial cost of a kid at that point, unless they're a horrible person, a monster that would get an abortion. That is a horrible crime against humanity, to murder a baby because of your mistakes, and no one should ever do that. So if you're not that kind of monster, that kind of sociopath that would do that, and you get a woman pregnant by accident, then you're gonna take care of the baby if you're worth anything. But so the point is, if you can afford to do that, then you can afford to adopt. And if you can't afford to adopt, you probably can't afford to pay 18 years of taking care of a child, whether you're on child support or whether you're with the mother and just actually supporting the child in reality. So you can adopt. You can be a foster parent. I wouldn't recommend being a foster parent because I wouldn't want the government involved in my life any more than they force themselves already. And with fostering, that's the government involved in your life. They're really the parent of that kid. They're just paying you to babysit the kid and raise it, but they can give you any rules for your life that they want to, and you'll have to follow them if you want to keep that kid. So I don't recommend fostering, but it's an option if you're not opposed to doing it that way. Adoption. The way I would recommend doing it is if you're wanting biological children, don't get a woman pregnant, man. What you should do is you can freeze your sperm. You can literally just go to a sperm bank, ejaculate into a cup several times over the span of a month or so. Freeze your sperm. You can purchase eggs from a healthy woman. You can literally shop for through the faces and heights and GPAs and everything of a woman and see just like if you were dating for looking for a wife to bear your children, and you say, okay, that's what I would want my kids to look like, that's what I would want my kids to be like intellectually. You can literally buy eggs from a woman by shopping through them just like that. Find somebody that clearly has good biological genetics, clearly has a good brain as far as intellect, and you can buy their eggs. And then what you can do is basically rent a womb from a surrogate mother. It's where you pay a woman through a contract that she can't breach to have a baby with your sperm. Most people do it with their sperm and their wife or girlfriend's eggs, and their wife is just like, she can't carry a child, but she can take her eggs out and put it in this other woman's womb. I don't recommend you use her eggs, though, of your girlfriend or your wife, because if you do, then she can take the kids, put you on child support when she breaks up with you. So don't use her eggs. Use some other woman's eggs. You be in a relationship with her all you want to. You can be married to her. Just don't do it through the state license, and don't cohabitate with her. And then you let her know, I'm going to get eggs from another woman so that you can never take my children from me if you want to bounce. And I'm going to rent the womb of another woman, and that's how I'm going to have my baby. And as long as you're in a relationship with me, you can stick around in this child's life and raise it as the mother. But if you ever want to leave, they're staying with me, and I'll let you see them. As long as you don't behave inappropriately around them or do anything inappropriate to them, I'll let you see them as much as you want to. But you're never going to do it against my will. You're never going to take them from me. You're never going to have me on child support. And you're sure as hell never going to do anything inappropriate around them, or I'll make sure that I put an end to you seeing them. Because they'll be biologically your kids, but not biologically her kids. And if you don't have a marriage license and she doesn't have any biological paternity to those children, she can't take them from you. She can't put you on child support. You can raise your children after she leaves, or whether she stays, it won't matter. So that's a way to have children. So I'm going to do videos in the future, better videos on this. I usually film outside because the lighting's better. I couldn't do it today because the last couple videos I made were very, very poor audio because it's very windy in Oklahoma sometimes, especially I film on top of my drive-in movie screen. I turned a shipping container into a drive-in movie, painted it white, and I film on top of there a lot. But on windy days, it's really windy up there because it's about 15 feet in the air or something like that. So it's very windy up there. So I'm filming inside today, so I'll probably redo this video, but I just thought that it was important to do it right now and get it out there, get that information out there, because there are lots of men that are on the verge of making the mistake of signing a marriage contract, of cohabitating with a woman that they're smart enough not to sign a marriage contract with, and thinking that they're being smart. They don't understand common law marriage laws, can knock them out. And sorry, got another call. And don't have biological children with a woman. Get your sperm frozen, then get a vasectomy so you cannot get a woman pregnant. Don't trust her pills. Don't trust none of that stuff. Most of those pills and shots and everything are abortive as in the first place, and most people don't know that. They're actually trying to prevent the sperm from attaching to the egg, but that sperm can attach to the egg and it actually kills the baby. So I don't think that you should not use those types of things anyway. But a condom is not doing that. But a condom could break, or she could poke holes in it, or anything could happen with a condom. Pulling out is just stupid and just very dumb to risk your life on something so stupid. You can get a woman pregnant without ejaculating her just by the little drips of pre-cum that are coming out the entire time you're having sex. So get a vasectomy so you cannot get a woman pregnant, but first freeze some sperm. Then when you are ready to have children, purchase some eggs from one woman, rent a womb from another woman that you have a legally binding contract with, that she cannot keep that child when it's born, and then have a baby. Take that baby from that woman that you rented the womb from and raise it as your own with your non-state contract wife who is not cohabitating with you. She can live next door to you. She can live across the street from you. Hell, she can be at your house all day, every day, as if she lives with you, as long as she's got her name on the lease of another place or on the deed of another house, so that it is legally documented that she does not cohabitate with you, then she can be at your house as much as you want to, man. Don't sign a state license. Let her be at your house all day, every day if she wants to, but make sure she has a lease somewhere else, or rent somewhere else, or mortgage somewhere else, or owns somewhere else, so that she is provably not cohabitating with you. And do not get her pregnant. Go ahead and adopt or freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, buy another woman's eggs, and rent a womb. Have a baby that way. So if she wants to stick around for life, like she said in her vows and her oath, then she can do that. If she wants to off and leave when she hits 26 or 30 and decides that she didn't get to get her freak on enough when she was younger, bye. But you get to keep your children, and nobody can take them from you, and nobody can put you on child support and blackmail you. And I mean, that's what child support is it's basically kidnapping and a ransom, because they're saying if you ever want to see your kids again, you'll pay this, and if you stop paying it, you will never see your kids again, and you'll get kidnapped and locked in a cage called jail. So don't ever give a woman power over you to get you kidnapped, to get you ransoming your children, to get you locked in a cage, to get you your bank account stolen from every month, to get your property seized, to get 50% or more of your property, your life savings, your house, your land given to her against your will because she did something wrong. And I'm not saying no guys ever do anything wrong. I'm saying that guys who did not do anything wrong, that are married through a state license, and that their wife does something wrong, the guy will get the punishment almost every time. Don't get married through a state license. Do not cohabitate with these women in 2020, and do not have children with these women, and make sure that it is impossible for that to be the case. That is what you need to do until the laws are reformed. And they're probably not going to reform, and they're probably going to get worse. What they'll probably end up doing is they'll probably, once enough guys figure out those 3 loopholes that I just told you, so that the government can't get involved in raping them for all their money and squeezing every drop out of them, what they'll probably do is they'll probably start having common law marriage relationship girlfriends. Like, they'll probably start saying, you don't have to cohabitate, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is have 2 witnesses that say that he was your boyfriend for more than 2 weeks, and he's common law married to you if you want to divorce him. It'll probably get that bad at some point. At which point, I'm a long-term thinker, and I've already figured that out. I already thought ahead to all the crooked things they could do and all the ways around them. But for right now, those 3 things that I just told you will protect you, and we don't need to get any more absurd than that until they make the laws more absurd than they already are. Don't marry through the state license. Don't cohabitate with a woman, and do not get a woman pregnant. If you want children, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, buy a woman's eggs, rent another woman's womb as a surrogate mother, and then when she has that baby, you take the baby, you give her the money that you owe her. The baby is now legally yours. She's signed over all parental rights through a contract that cannot be revoked, and now nobody can ever take your children from you and put you on child support ever. And then you win. That's the way to make sure that you never give your power to a woman. Now you're in a situation where if that woman starts acting goofy, starts saying she wants to go out and party with her friends, and she just likes to dance, and she just likes the taste of alcohol, and she just likes the flavor of some other man's penis, and you're just being too controlling, and you should let her have an open relationship marriage where she gets to have all the cocks jammed in her she wants, and you're supposed to not do the equal opposite with women. You can tell her to, where to shove all of her modern ideas and to kick rocks, and she can't hit you back with, okay, well, I'm going to divorce you, I'm going to take half your stuff, I'm going to take all your money, I'm going to make sure that you owe me alimony for the rest of your life and child support, and I'll make sure you never see your kids unless you do exactly what I say. She won't be able to do that, man. She won't be able to do it if you do the 3 things that I just told you. Never sign a marriage contract, never cohabitate ever, and make sure there's legal documented proof that she has a lease somewhere so she cannot claim to be living with you, and never ever let it even be possible for you to get her pregnant. That's all for this video. If you haven't done so already, I just saved your life. You owe it to me, and you owe it to yourself for future content's sake to hit the subscribe button down below. ring the notification bell, that little bell-shaped button, push that bad boy, hit the thumbs up, because I just saved your life. If you haven't done it already, if you haven't already signed a marriage license, cohabitated, and got her pregnant. If you have, then I probably just scared the holy living piss out of you. And God have mercy on your soul for what's going to happen to you. Statistically speaking, 70% or more chance, and the chances are even higher if your wife if your wife's parents have divorced, or if your wife went to college, or if your wife cohabitated with her last boyfriend, or cohabitated with you before marriage. All the statistics are government documented record that it keeps going up higher and higher. But just stock, if your wife was a perfect little virgin, good girl with a happily married mother and father, and she married you and she was born after a certain date in this country that she was almost certainly born after, if you're a young man and you're marrying, it's about 70% or more chance she's going to divorce you. God have mercy on your soul. I didn't make this video to scare you. It's just too late for you. All you can do is hope that she is as merciful on you in divorce court as possible, which she won't be in all likelihood, and then never do it again. Never make the same mistake twice. Fool you once, shame on you. Fool you twice, should never happen. Don't let it happen twice. But for all you lucky little bastards that haven't gotten the state license, haven't cohabitated, and haven't got her pregnant, don't do it. And for all of you guys that haven't got the state license, haven't got her pregnant, but are currently cohabitating, you better get her the hell up out your property and get her a rental somewhere where she is the one paying the bills as far as the government can tell, so that before she realizes that she can hit you with some common law marriage when she breaks up with you. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, hit the thumbs up, comment down below what you thought about this video. If you're a woman and you hate me and you want to punch me in the face, talk about that down there. If you're a woman and you agree with me because you're also a sister or a mother that is related to the victim of divorce and family custody court, go ahead and comment down below and show some love. If you're a man, you should agree with me because it's all facts what I just said that don't even hurt you to agree with. I can see why a woman would be biased against these facts, but a man, come on. Hit some love down in the comments section and comment for some ideas for future videos you'd like me to address. This is Sherrick Official. See you on the next video.